Hi, everyone. This is Trish Kendall, your host for the Choose and Become interview series. I made 5 critical choices on my journey from the pit of despair to what I consider the peak of success, enduring success, lasting success, true success. And those 5 critical choices I made was first just to make a first choice. And then the second was to commit to a 2-way agreement, then to build trust, first in myself, and then inspire the trust of others. The 4th choice was to create community and belonging. And the 5th critical choice I made was to embrace my boundless capacity to give love and to receive love. Now, in this series, I get to interview people who I admire, and I get to learn a little bit more about their perspective on enduring success and the way that manifests in their lives. And I ask them these 5 choices, these 5 critical choices, to get their perspective and lessons and insights and wisdom. So today in a sec, you'll see pop up my guest who I'm really excited to be with. I'm here today with Ericia Antoine. Now you can say hi now that I see you. Ericia is the Assistant Vice President of Corporate Engagement and Special Events for the Volunteers of America in the Greater New York area. And you and I connected. So we really connected about a year ago. The work that you do with the AFP, the New Jersey chapter, and specifically the work that you do in co-chairing the committee, the IDEA committee there. So we did some work together. I won't say much more about that in case you infuse it into our conversation. But right away, I was connected to you. And I knew that I wanted to learn more about you and learn more about what you do in your community. And I wanted to share that with my community. So thank you for saying yes.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So let's just start. Will you just tell my audience and my community a little bit more about you?
Sure. Where do I start?
Right. That's always the question.
I guess, I can't speak about myself without telling the biggest part of myself, which is, I'm an immigrant. I was born on a little island, surrounded by family and friends. But I didn't have that many resources. But what I had an abundance of was love and community. My mom and I came to the States when I was young. And, the lack of resources, it wasn't apparent to me until we were, in America. And I realized that I was very different than other people. But, my mom always found a way to make ends meet. So, she's an incredible woman, and I'm very, very grateful for her. And I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had by moving to America, because without these opportunities, I wouldn't be where I am today.
And, I'm going to want to just pull more of that as we go. It is one of the things that hit me so hard when we were just prepping a little bit and talking a little bit about this interview, is talking about your family, your mother, and the community that was around you. Mm-hmm. So first and foremost, I think we all have our own definition of what success is. And perhaps maybe that definition also evolves over time. Right now, where you're at, when we talk about enduring success, creating enduring success, what does that mean to you?
Success isn't a very linear thing, right? And it does look different for everyone. I think for many people, including myself, success, it's filled with challenges, it's filled with strife. And to me, enduring success means that you're resilient in the face of, circumstances that are meant to knock you down. I think that once you have an idea in your mind of what you want to do, and you realize that your success isn't only about you, your success is about people who look up to you, about, family who you want to make proud. You just keep on pushing and pushing and pushing until you get where you want to go.
Oh my God, it hits me so hard too, because so much of what I do is to try to inspire younger women, the women that look up to us. Mm-hmm. And in all of the chaos of the world, it's so easy to get hung up on success being better than, being better than or having more than others. And so my success is dictated by your failure. And what you just said, or your failure or success dictates mine. And what you just said resonates so strongly because you said you lift people up around you. And
Mhm.
as you achieve and create more success, it's the people around you that create and you help fuel that.
Exactly. I have a goal, and I wrote it a few years ago. And I think my life goal is to inspire little girls who look like me, whether it's my little cousins or little girls who may be looking up to me and I may not even know. But I want them to use me as an inspiration when, people tell them that they can't do something or, they're not good enough. Use me as inspiration, and I can be someone who can show them that they are good enough and they can achieve their goals and put their minds to achieving anything that they set out to do.
Ericia, you will, and you do. There is no doubt in my mind.
Thank you, Trish.
So I believe, or I experience, that success begins with making a first choice. Nobody can make the choices for us. We have to make first choices on our own. And you know my story and my first choice. I'm curious, when you reflect on your journey, to hear what's a first choice that you made that impacted your journey to success.
Oh boy.
Or one of them. Because I think there can be multiple first choices.
Of course. I would say that is my career. I've spent the entirety of my career in the nonprofit sector. And it's a big part of me, a big part of who I am to give back. When I was in my village growing up, I always saw my mom and my great grandmother and my grandma giving back to those, even when they didn't really have that much to give back. It was a big part of who they are, and they raised me to be that way as well. So yeah, here I am in my career, my 11 years in a nonprofit sector, giving back to others. So I think that was definitely my first choice.
Will you tell my community a little bit more about what you do today with Volunteers of America?
Sure.
And just a little bit more about VOA to begin with.
Okay. Volunteers of America, Greater New York, is part, of a national organization. We're the Greater New York affiliate. We are a 127-year-old human services organization with a goal of ending homelessness in the Greater New York area by the year 2050 through health, housing, and wealth building initiatives. Each year, we provide about 13,000 individuals with permanent and temporary supportive housing. And with one of our most popular initiatives, Operation Backpack, that number swells to around 30,000. We have around 60 programs in 4 of the boroughs of Manhattan, Westchester County, and Northern New Jersey. The people that we serve, it's a wide range of people. So it's veterans, the elderly, victims of domestic violence, those who have been afflicted with mental health or substance abuse issues, children with developmental delays, children who are aging out of the foster care system, chronically homeless individuals and families. I honestly don't think that there is a vulnerable population in the Greater New York area who don't have a hand in serving. So yeah, it's an incredible organization. I'm very, very fortunate to be a part of it.
And a first choice you made 11 years ago led you to here. And here's something. It does not seem like this is the case with you, but I'm going to ask anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I see for myself and for others that making a first choice is really hard. You know what you want to do or how to do it, but it just seems so hard to make that choice. Did you struggle with that at all, or have you struggled with making first choices?
For my career, I don't think it was that difficult of a choice. I had I thought I was going to be, a human resources professional. I did an internship in college where, I was at another human services organization, ironically, and I was interning in the HR department. And one day, the development department just needed help with an event, and I worked and I helped them with that event, and they got me into like the day to day, logistics of everything, and actually really enjoyed it. It was more fast paced than I believe HR would be. And that was more appealing to me
Yeah.
at the time. And, I just stuck with it. My first job after graduating with my undergraduate degree was as a development assistant at a community hospital. And I just never looked back from there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you'll just keep on making an impact. I'll take us to the second critical choice. The second choice that I made on my journey was to commit to a two-way agreement. And at that time, I was 20, and the agreement I committed to was between me and my sister and her husband. When they took me in when I was recovering from drugs, right? My community knows this, when I was recovering. So when I think about two-way agreements, it's really when two people or two entities come together with a mutually beneficial objective, for both of us to meet a mutually beneficial objective. And we structure this together, and then the power, though, is in committing to it. And I think about informal and formal two-way agreements that we all enter into all of the time. And what I am curious about is, what's your perspective on the idea of committing to a two-way agreement, the committing aspect of it? And is there one in your life that is a good example that you'd like to share about, this is an agreement that I entered into, and here's what I gave, and here's what I got?
I think, in the first part of my career, it was easy to commit to two-way agreements, right? Because I had more time, and time, is the most valuable resource. But as I advance in my career, I find that more challenging. Like when I was younger, I would volunteer for a lot of things. I think one of the things that I'm most passionate about, and I don't know if many people know this, is about animals and about wildlife. So I used to volunteer at a no-kill animal shelter, and it was just the most fulfilling thing for me. And I did that for many years, and it's actually where I adopted my dog. And that's a two-way agreement that I loved, and other volunteer initiatives that I've taken a role in as well. But now I think one of the two-way agreements that I want to focus on, it's a personal endeavor, but it also it's a social impact small business that I have started. And it's a jewelry line that essentially gives back to artisans in developing countries. And a portion of the proceeds goes towards empowering impoverished women. So aside from my roles in committees and my 9 to 5 job, not really 9 to 5, but my 9 to 5 job. That's the only other thing that I plan on really dedicating myself to and focusing on, because I know through that I can help more people. And that's really, like I said before, that's really a goal of mine.
It's awesome. And the acknowledgement on your side that you actually have to commit to it, because especially, and you just said this, I mean, you have your day job, you have your night job, you're on committees, you volunteer in other aspects of creating change just within your community, and you're going to do this. So I believe you will, and there's no doubt. But the being cognizant of, this is an agreement I'm going to commit to, and these are the things, because you're a writer, I think you write things down too. These are the things that I'm committing to. I'm committing to myself on what's going to be done. So
exactly.
Just listen to what she just said, because so much of the commitment is really just in writing something down and saying, this is what I'm going to do by when, maybe with whom, for what?
Exactly. And I should plug my own business. So it's called Riches of St. Hill. If anyone is interested in checking out the pieces, it's at Riches of St. Hill. That's RICHESSTHILL.com. And you should follow on Instagram as well.
Yeah, perfect. And I'll put it on there when we. All right, so then let's keep going to the third critical choice, which was for me was to build trust. First, I had to build trust in myself. And then that enabled me to begin to inspire the trust of others. And as I went through my own little mini journey to build trust in myself, I actually learned that if you do the little things great, great things can happen. So I'm going to end up asking you a number of questions in this category of building trust, because I really want your perspective. First and foremost, has there been a time, or let me change this. How do you build trust in yourself throughout the years, throughout your journey? How do you build trust in yourself? Because you know all the younger women are asking themselves that same question.
It's about action and it's about confidence. I think people think that confidence is something that, some people are just born with. But confidence, it's like a muscle that you have to grow. And how you build trust in yourself is just by practicing that, looking in the mirror and, speaking words of affirmation to yourself. If you're afraid of doing something, just do it anyway. Just do it anyway, because even if you fail, you learn some valuable lesson from that experience that you wouldn't have gotten before. And you're, one step closer to achieving whatever you need to achieve by failing before. Like, what you need to do differently to, achieve your goal going forward. So how I build confidence in myself is just by going out there and doing what I need to do and just looking fear in the eye and doing it anyway. There are so many things that I do that I'm afraid to do. Like, I'm a relatively young executive. I don't like public speaking. Even this is, being kind of vulnerable to me, but, I'm doing it anyway. So just be brave. That's the only advice that I would have. Just be brave.
You inspire me.
Do it anyway.
You inspire me. You do. How do you, so let's speak to the younger women again. How do you inspire the trust of others? Or speak to anybody, but I think about us as inspiring those younger women. How do you inspire the trust of others?
By extending empathy. I'm thinking about, the people, the younger women who are on my team or the women who are on my team, extending empathy and showing up for others and showing that you care, leading by example. Apart from those younger women, like as a professional who oftentimes I don't look like other people in the room. It's just getting things done and showing that you're dedicated to getting things done. Like I said, it's not really 9 to 5. Going above and beyond, I think, is a way that, you inspire trust in others, to show that you genuinely care and you're not afraid to get your hands dirty. You're not afraid to do something that, typically someone at a lower level would be doing. Like, there's nothing that's too low for me. And I think that is what, my team would say about me. Like, I always get in there and do things with them. And I think that's how you inspire trust in others.
I think that's awesome. Now, this is going to take me to an observation before I'll tell you what my last question for build trust is, but then I'm going to go to my observation and then so my question is going to be, is there a little thing that you do consistently so I believe do the little things great and great things happen. So
Mhm.
I am curious, is there a little thing that you do consistently that has impacted your journey to either building trust or to success?
I think um, this ties into both of those things actually, but I make a point of building genuine relationships with people. And I think this has gotten me really, really far, in both my personal life and my career. Um, Getting to know people, learning from them. I think once you think you know everything, you're totally wrong. There's always someone that you can learn from. Whether it's a janitor at a company or, someone in the C-suite at a company, there's always someone who has a unique life experience to yours that, you can learn great gems from. So that's something I make a point of doing. Yeah, I think relationships have gotten me really, really far in my life. And that's something that I would encourage other young women to do as well.
Wonderful. My observation was going to be when you said you get down and get your hands, in it. It's just most recently all the time that you spent in August with Operation Backpack, right? So is that wrapped up now? Is this because kids are back to school?
Kids are back to school, but the number of kids who are in need, it's just going to keep on growing, unfortunately. So when we first got the number, of children who we would be providing supplies to for the initiative for this year's campaign. That was around 23,000. Now that number is around 30,000, and it's just
Wow.
expected to keep on growing. It's a combination of the eviction moratorium expiring. It's a combination of rent prices just increasing, and families not being able to afford rent, so they're now homeless. And of course, it's because of the large influx of asylum-seeking families who have entered into the city as well. So all of those things combined, it's we have unprecedented numbers of kids who need support. So although the Operation Backpack campaign is technically over, we still need supplies, we still need funds, we still need resources to be able to support these children throughout the year.
And give us the website really quick, and then I'll put it on too. But what's the website that people can go to?
Of course. So it's VOA-GNY backslash Operation Backpack.
Okay, perfect. Now this whole conversation leads me to the fourth critical choice, which was for me to
Mhm.
create community and belonging, which is honestly, Ericia, I could spend all of my time only on that every single day of my day, thinking about how can I continue to create community and belonging for others, for myself, for those people that don't have, like, really, that is where my biggest passion lies. And probably because I grew up not belonging. And I was in my early 30s before I actually realized that it's not a badge of honor that I held, that I don't need people and I don't need to be a part of a community. I actually wanted to belong, and I needed to figure out how to make that happen. So I went off on a little tangent there for a second. So much of what you do and what you were talking about the village and your mom and your grandma is all around community. So let me just start with, give me your perspective around community and belonging, and then I would like to go a little bit deeper with you on some questions.
Sure. Like I said before, relationships are probably like the most important thing in my life. Community is the most important thing in my life. I have an amazing support system in my family, and in my friends, my coworkers, the different groups, organizations that I'm a part of. Even as a new business owner, like making relationships with artisans in the area that I live in. It's incredible because what I find is that, people, they push you and they support you and they help you see sides of yourself that you don't necessarily see. So I think that's important to have those people around you because they push you to heights and they help you see different visions that you don't necessarily see for yourself.
Just awesome. And one of the things that I heard with what you just said is these um, these different units of community. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have different almost communities.
Mm-hmm.
And do you ever find or try to cross pollinate any of your communities? Does that
Um,
make sense?
it does. It does. I I mix my family and my friend groups. I mix my professional groups and my friend groups,
Yeah.
and my friends are always willing. I'm nonprofit, so my friends are always willing to come out and help volunteer at anything that I'm doing. It's
Yeah.
the same for my family, and I'm always connecting people because people help me and I want to help them. So I think that by helping others create new relationships, that's really beneficial as well.
And a big part of community is creating belonging. So I'm going to ask
Mhm.
two questions. I'm going to start with the what does it feel like to not belong? And then I want to hear from you, what does it feel like to belong?
Mhm.
So what we know, but from your perspective, what does it feel like not to belong?
Um, I think the time that I felt, um, that I didn't belong is especially when I first came to the States and, being different, being the new kid and being someone who stood out. It didn't, it didn't feel good. It felt lonely. Um, Even in spaces like earlier in my career when I didn't look like other people, that felt lonely too. Um, and I don't mean that you always have to have someone around you to feel that you fit in, but having people make a point of trying to make you feel like you belong, I think is really, really important too. um, so yeah, it felt lonely, it felt discouraging, um, and it's not something that I would ever want anyone to experience or go through. And I think that's why I'm trying to make a point of, no matter where I am, trying to make people feel like they're welcome and they belong.
And how does it feel to belong?
Feels amazing. It feels like you're seen. It feels like you're heard. It feels like you're valued. It feels like you're supported. And like I said before, when you feel all those things, and when you have a community that pushes you and a community that you belong to, you feel like you can take on the world and you can take on any challenge.
It's awesome. uh, I want to get your perspective on what I think here a little bit with
Mhm.
belonging, with what we're talking about is for me, I believe that belonging requires reciprocity, meaning it's not an idea, it's an
Mhm.
action. And
Mhm.
it requires action on both of our parts. It's what you just said made me think about this is who do you see that perhaps might not belong, and what can you do to create even a mini moment of belonging? And then it requires that person to want to accept and try, because maybe they've tried 1,000 times before and it's never worked. So it
Mhm.
takes courage and all of that stuff. So I believe that it takes action. It's not an idea,
Mhm.
it's an action. And it requires both. It requires both. And I think that's a little bit of what you were saying, or what I took from you saying.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to add on top of this is uh, I believe that there's nothing more important than who we are as individuals. And it's our life experiences that make us who we are. And so to really start to create a sense of belonging within the community or within the group or within the team or within whatever it is, perhaps perhaps we can start thinking about creating safe spaces for people to start to exchange some of those individual experiences that make them who they are, which is what you said yes to today, to do
Yes,
this for my community.
exactly. Safe spaces are so important. Um, Making people feel welcome is so important. I think with technology and with, the world of distractions today, I think that it kind of, you know, it kind of hinders relationships in a way. I think an important part of making people feel seen, making people feel like they belong, is being present without any distractions, and making them know that you care. Like, ask genuine questions. Um, you know, Remember their dog's name. Remember something that they had going on last week. Bring that up so that they know that you care. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of today's relationships. Everything's just the surface value, because either we're too busy or we have too much going on, that we don't have time to build and maintain those genuine
Yeah,
relationships anymore. And I wish that's something that more people would make a point of doing.
me too. And you know what? We do. And we
Mhm.
will continue. And that even goes into building trust. What you were saying about building trust, show up with empathy and show that you care. And
Mhm.
it all comes together. It all comes together. I'm going to take us to the final, the fifth and final choice. For me, the fifth critical choice I made on my journey to finally getting to enduring success is that I finally chose to embrace my boundless capacity to give love and receive love. And the distinction I want to make within this conversation is, what I'm not talking about is love, the emotion that isn't a choice.
Mhm.
There's love that we feel as an emotion that you just feel it. What I am talking about is love as an action, which is a choice. And that manifests itself in so many different ways, practical and profound, for different people in different situations and different perspectives. So we all have different examples. What I'm really drawn to with you is the manifestation of giving love that VOA Greater New York displays every day, and you being one of the leaders of the helm there in giving love to the community. So just give me your perspective on how the organization and giving love manifests, and what other community members can do to keep giving.
I think VOA as an organization just embodies love, and the corporate partners and the community partners that we work with, they show their love by not forgetting their impoverished neighbors, people who need their support and people who need their help. I remember an example of love that I've seen since working at this organization was at the first distribution event for Operation Backpack. And for mentioned Operation Backpack before, but for those of you who don't know what Operation Backpack is, it's a 21-year-old community service initiative where Volunteers of America, Greater New York, we provide backpacks filled with grade appropriate school supplies to every single child residing in a New York City homeless shelter. It's an initiative that was founded by us, and other affiliates of Volunteers of America have been doing it for some time as well. So, at one of the distribution events at one of the shelters, I got to see the kids receiving the backpacks that were donated by our corporate and community partners. It's not only, they're receiving backpacks that weren't their choice. They come into a room filled with backpacks that were given by our partners, and they chose what they wanted. Whether, it's a Roblox backpack, or a Barbie backpack, something that they loved and they wanted, and something that would enable them to go back to school feeling confident, and not feeling different than their peers. that was love to me. That I actually cried when I went to that distribution event, to see the smiles on the faces of the kids and the parents who are so grateful because, if it wasn't for our community partners, they wouldn't otherwise be able to provide these things for their kids. These are people who struggle to put food on the table for their kids. If it wasn't for VOA, they wouldn't have the means to have essential items like that, like food or personal hygiene items, or much less backpacks. It costs at least $100 to send kids back to school with the supplies and
Right.
the backpacks themselves. So that was just an incredible manifestation of love to me.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm grateful that I got to witness that and experience that. And I'm so grateful to our community partners who make those things possible.
Ericia, that is a beautiful story and example to wrap us up. And this, but and my community knows, but I'm going to say it one more time, because I believe with my whole heart that we create enduring success and fuel the success of others. What you said at the very beginning is, success, fueling the success of others, when we choose to give love,
Mm-hmm.
and when we choose to receive it. And even in the aspect of, what time can I give? Do they say time, talent, treasure?
Mm-hmm.
When you think about the manifestation of giving love, what can we do within our community and communities such that we can give a little bit of our time, or a little bit of our talent, or a little bit of our treasure, or whatever it is, and also be cognizant of receiving the love that others want to give back. You chose to come here today and give me your love and receive the love that I wanted to give you. And I appreciate you so much. Why am I so emotional? I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you so much. And I think you are an inspiration to me and to everyone around you. And I can't wait to continue to just watch you soar.
Thank you so much, Trish. This was amazing. And I'm glad that you thought of me to do this.
Yes, beautiful. Okay, thank you for joining us for the Choose and Become interview series. I can't wait to drop this, and I'll make sure that when I release it, I have all the websites and places to go that we talked about in this episode.
All right.
Thank you for joining me for our Choose and Become interview series. You could find this episode and others at trishkendall.com. Just go to trishkendall.com/choose-become-interview-series. Or if you have a question or just want to leave a comment, email me, trish@trishkendall.com.